Now, if you don't know the answer, I'll spell it out for you, Herb. It's okay to admit if you're wrong or if you're unaware. That's okay. So I'm going to ask it one more time. And Herb, listen to my question. We're going to give this one more chance.
Hey, Brian, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, Herb.
Let me ask you this. The case that was dropped today, was that the 34 counts that went against Trump? Is that the one that was dropped today?
No. So what's going on in that case is that they have postponed it until after he leaves office. My understanding is that he will be sentenced. At least that's what they're attempting to do, which I think they will. They're holding off on sentencing until he leaves office. Jack Smith had to do with the classified documents case, where he defied a subpoena for a year.
Oh, okay.
And from what I've heard, the evidence is overwhelming. I mean, he defied a subpoena for a year. He directly told some employees to destroy evidence and move evidence. But the reason why Jack Smith had to do this, and he said it in the statement, the only reason why he did it is because Donald Trump won the presidency. He also made a statement. He said the special counsel said the decision to remove this case does not turn on the gravity of the crimes charged, the strength of the government's proof, or the merits of the prosecution, which the government stands fully behind. That's directly from Jack Smith, just so you know.
Okay, let me ask you this. So until you're sentenced, you're not convicted. Am I right?
You can be convicted
of words,
so you're talking about, legal terminology. Simply put, Donald Trump is a convicted felon. Now, he hasn't been sentenced yet.
He hasn't been, but he hasn't been sentenced, though.
He has been convicted on 34 charges based on a jury's decision. So he was
indicted.
Okay, so he was indicted. Okay, so discovery is over. The trial is over. A jury has made their decision, and they have, quote, convicted him on 34 counts. He hasn't been sentenced yet. So if you want to use legal jargon and you want to say, well, wait a second, he hasn't been sentenced yet. Donald Trump, you know how we know Donald Trump is a convicted felon? Here's how we know he's convicted, Herb. Right now, he is not legally allowed to walk into a gun store and buy a gun. So what you're saying is not true. He is a convicted felon. He cannot legally purchase it. Well, you're laughing, but if you would just listen to what I'm saying, you would say, okay, Brian, I didn't know that. Okay. Donald Trump can't walk into a gun store and purchase a gun. Now, why would that be, Herb? Because he's a convicted felon. He's going to be sentenced when he leaves office. Am I not making sense?
Well, what you're saying, but however, let me say this. You've always told us, your listeners, that unless you always listen to the experts. Like when COVID was going on, you always told us to listen to the experts.
No, that's specifically, I don't know what COVID has to do with this conversation, but what I told people.
Listen to what I'm saying, though, Brian. You always said during that time, listen to the experts, listen to the people that know it, not just a regular doctor, but listen to the people.
No, I said listen to your. No,
the field.
What I said was listen to your personal physician and make a decision with your personal physician who knows your medical history. I didn't use a term and just say, well, just listen to experts. What I did say, Herb, and I'll reemphasize what I said. Don't listen to people on the radio like me. Don't listen to members of the media. Heck, if you don't want to listen to Dr. Fauci, that was your prerogative. But what I was very consistent with, and I still say to this day, listen to your personal physician who knows your medical history, and you guys make a decision together. I've been very consistent on that, but I'm not sure what that has to do
Brian,
with what we're talking about.
You used to have a doctor that used to come on your show, an expert. Mm-hmm. He was from a local hospital,
sure,
and he was an expert.
Yeah.
And so all I'm saying is that that's what you recommended, that we listen. The man who was an expert in the field.
What I did recommend is that people listen to somebody that actually has a medical background and degree than some idiot on social media or a Jesse Waters or even a Donald Trump. I recommend you listen to people that actually have a medical background, and the guy you are specifically talking about who did this show multiple times had a medical degree. He had specialty in infectious disease. So yes, I think
exactly.
Now I could be wrong, Herb, but I think it's pretty sound advice as a radio host to say, don't listen to me and don't listen to people that don't have any medical background or medical degrees, and you're probably better off listening to somebody that does have a medical degree.
So as a result,
Herb, you think that's bad? You think that's bad advice, Herb?
As a result of what you're saying, I got you, Brian.
How did you get me?
As a result of what you're saying, then I'm going to listen to somebody like a Mark Levin, who's a constitutional lawyer, as opposed to somebody like you. And they've said, these experts that are lawyers.
Gotcha. Okay. So now we're going to.
They've said multiple times.
Gotcha. Okay. go. So let's go with that. Let's go with your point about listening to Mark Levin, who practiced law over me. First of all, that has nothing to do with medical information and knowing your medical history. So now let's put that stupid argument to the side with all due respect. Let's talk about Mark Levin. Let's talk about Mark Levin.
Brian, you are something else.
Are you gonna listen or are you gonna interrupt? Are you going to listen? Pot him down. Pot him down, because you're not going to interrupt me, and I'm going to finish my statement because I've now heard you out, and now you're going to be forced to listen to me, or you can hang up the phone. I don't care, but either way, I'm going to talk because it's my show and not yours. Medical experts that are not politically biased. The doctor that I had in studio was not politically biased. Now, I know that might be hard for somebody like you to understand, but you see, when I talk about medical experts and your own personal physician, we're not talking about political bias. So you think that Mark Levin is credible when talking about Donald Trump's cases. Okay, let's go with that for a moment. So the guy that you think is credible talking about Donald Trump, Mark Levin's been on the air for decades. So Herb, now I'm going to ask you a question, since you think Mark Levin is very credible talking about Donald Trump's cases. Can you name me a time where Mark Levin ever criticized Donald Trump for anything in the 20 plus years he's been on the radio? Can you give me a direct quote, or any moment? We could be talking about January 6th. We could be talking about denying the election. We could be talking about the allegations. We could be talking about any of the horrible behavior. Forget about criminality. The horrible things that Donald Trump has said about John McCain and brave men and women in uniform. The guy that you think is credible talking about Donald Trump's criminal cases, you just said it, not me. Can you name me a time in 20 years, 10 years, where he has criticized or called out Donald Trump for one thing? Go ahead, Herb.
No, because I can't.
Okay, pot him down again. Pot him down again. I got you, Herb. I got you, Herb. I got you. So the guy calling into this show that thinks Mark Levin is, quote, credible when talking about Donald Trump's crimes that he committed or indictments, he thinks that guy is credible, yet in 25 years of this guy being on television and radio, he couldn't name me one instance where he was criticizing Donald Trump. So Herb, with respect, I'm going to go, I could care less what you think about Mark Levin, because Mark Levin is a despicable right-wing hack. Here's what I will say. Excuse me. My turn. I got you, Herb. Now it's my turn. You see, Herb, you just said on this show that he's credible, but yet you couldn't name me one time, not one time, where Mark Levin was critical of Donald Trump. Not once. So I'm going to ask you a very simple question, Herb, now that I've destroyed your idiocy with Mark Levin. Can you please explain to me why, if Donald Trump walked into a gun store right now, he couldn't purchase a gun? Can you please explain to me why that is?
He doesn't need to. He's got.
Didn't ask you the question, Herb. The question was, pot him down again. The question wasn't, does he need to purchase a gun? MAGA Herb, I need you to focus. It's a very specific question. The question wasn't, does he need a gun? The question wasn't security. I'm asking you a hypothetical. If, in fact, Donald Trump decided to buy a gun today, why is he not able to do so? Can you please explain to me why the next leader of the free world is not allowed to purchase a gun? You claim he's not a felon. So if that's the case, Herb, please answer my question directly. If you don't know,
Brian,
if you don't know, no, I don't want to hear all you're saying. Answer my question, because I've answered yours. Why can't why can't Donald Trump purchase a weapon? Now, if you don't know the answer, I'll spell it out for you, Herb. It's okay to admit if you're wrong or if you're unaware. That's okay. So I'm going to ask it one more time. Herb, listen to my question. We're going to give this one more chance. Herb,
Donald Trump.
Pot him down again, please. Herb, I'm going to ask the question one more time. Okay, Herb, I'm going to ask the question one more time, and that means you need to listen and stop talking. Okay? So, Herb, why can't Donald Trump purchase a gun? Go.
You're a hypocrite, Brian.
Thank you for not. Okay, so the answer, Herb, is because he's a convicted felon. I was trying to get you to admit that, but instead you wanted to reference Mark Levin, who has all this legal experience, yet Mark Levin, you couldn't name one time in the last 25 years. What would you say about somebody who wants to break down a legal case but hasn't said one negative thing about that person for 25 years. In fact, nothing but positive. Would you call that person credible? Of course not. I'm done with Herb. Get Herb off the phone because he's an imbecile.